Hey everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Janiece and this is my channel called Vibing with Janiece. I'm just gonna jump right into it. It is currently 2:28 in the morning and I was really supposed to do this video today, or no, not today, yesterday, and I was gonna upload it today. But obviously procrastination and seasonal depression and homework was like beating me up. And I know a lot of us have like a lot of anxiety going on because the election day is today and a lot of people are nervous and concerned about their safety and things like that. So, this election has been a lot for obvious reasons and varying reasons and things like that, but I wanted to do a video because this is actually my first presidential election that I've participated in, so like another milestone in my adulting journey or whatever. So this was my first presidential election. I've been really talking about voting a lot on my social media. I was in a video with the NBC Millennial Gen Z channel, NBC LX. I'll put a link. It's a very quick video. I was interviewed and it was like other people around my age who were being interviewed at the same time. So I'll put the link in the description. It's really quick. It was basically talking about this kind of similar topic about being a first time voter and our views and what we're expecting, who we want to win and things like that. And this is kind of like a similar video, but I guess it's more personal. It's me really breaking it down. Also, before I really get into it, hopefully you guys can see my hoodie. This is, we're all in this together. And I also have a Black Lives Matter pin, and it's from this Instagram, or it's this business. Come on, phone. My phone is like straight up been glitching like for a while, and I hate it. It's called People. Let me find it real quick because I really want to like insert that plug. They gave me a discount code, guys. I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll edit this out. Maybe. Okay, it's called People Black Clean. People Black Clean. It's their Instagram. I'll put it on the description probably, and also maybe on the screen. I'm not really trying to go fancy with this editing, so I'm really hoping this camera is getting what I need to get because, like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I have class at like 10, which gives me time to sleep, but obviously I gotta finish this homework assignment too. Anyway, back to this politics. But basically, on a serious note, this is my first election, and I wanted to go through a few topics about being a first-time voter, politics, the government from my perspective as a young adult, and things like that, and what I feel like is on the line with this election, whether you voted in person, dropped off your ballot, mailed in your ballot. Obviously 2020 has been a lot for us, but this is obviously a very crucial moment to see how we will be continuing on with things. So my first topic I got, oh, and maybe you guys noticed, I found my phone. The phone I used to film that I was talking about in my last video. Anyway, I'm so sorry. So my first topic is kind of like politics growing up. So I know a lot of people, it seems like from older generations and things like that, they didn't really like pay attention to politics growing up, which is really interesting to me just because it's like the news has always been around. You'd always see what politicians were saying, or at least in my head, the way that media is now, I'm sure something similar existed, I guess. But basically, yeah, like I always paid attention to politics. A lot of stuff I just noticed, you know, like every day we watch the news and, you know, it would be the military conflict and the oppression of people in the Middle East with the United States military, school shootings, the beginnings of this, at least the 21st century's Black Lives Matter civil rights movement going on right now. And that was very much just something I saw going on. Like, we didn't always talk about it, I guess, as my family, but I knew and paid attention to it, and I saw what politicians said, and I was just like, okay, that's cool. And obviously, I was a kid when President Obama was elected, so that was definitely a very pivotal moment, I guess, growing up and noticing, hey, there's a leader who's a black man, and he's the first African-American president, and it's really interesting that he's the first one, and it's 2008, like, that's crazy. Aren't we supposed to be, like, past racism and whatever? because he wasn't the first black person to run for president. But anyway, so that was kind of just like politics growing up. We talked about it. I didn't really know how my family voted. I just knew that like I knew my family voted though, if that makes sense. Like my dad just got his citizenship this year, so it's actually me and my dad's first time voting. But as terms of just like my mom, my Gigi, my grandpa, my aunts when they were of age, I knew they voted. My dad's mom, my grandma, she was I don't know how long she's been a citizen, but I know she's been a citizen for a while. So I know she voted and she would make comments about what's going on in the political realm. So we didn't really like state what party we were a part of in a sense or our political views, but I think we talked about government decisions and things politicians said, and it was kind of just around the same thought process in a sense, but we weren't like pushing for it. And I think that's what a lot of people are like, oh well, you know, you might identify, or I don't like saying that, you might be a part of a political party because your parents are a part of it or your family was a part of it, but I feel like, at least for me, it wasn't really like an oppressive or you have to be this and we as a family believe this. I think we just, at least for me, I came to a certain conclusion that was somewhat similar to the conclusion or ideas that my family had. So my next topic was the 2016 election. So in 2016 I was not of age, so I could not participate, and I thought that whole like year of 2016 besides my birthday was like really weird. The election made it weird. Trump running made it weird. The fact that he won was a hot mess. I also was taking AP U.S. history, so we would be comparing the things politicians and Trump would be saying and the policies being implemented to what was going on previously, you know, centuries ago. Shout out to Mr. Tucker, my A-push teacher. He's a great teacher. And that really made that class very engaging, comparing the present to the past. But I remember being shocked that Trump won, because I didn't quite understand the purpose of the Electoral College and why we've had these elections where the people vote, they show out to vote, and we vote, and then the person who doesn't get the popular vote doesn't, or ends up winning. And that was very confusing, and it's still kind of confusing to me now. Because I understand how the Electoral College votes, I've watched videos, I've read, I understand the breakdown, but it's still like, why aren't we picking who the people want to pick? Because, in my opinion, like, I feel like the Electoral College is kind of the breakdown. Like, obviously people need to vote, we need to always push for voter registration, people performing their civic duty, and things like that, but I think it's really, I think one of the factors that we also have to take into consideration, obviously, is why the person who gets the most votes, the people who, the true democratic person or democratic process is the majority vote, should win. Like, if Trump got the majority vote, that would have been crazy because of the people who voted for him, but it's like, okay, that's just something that has to be dealt with. But the fact that Hillary Clinton got the popular vote, but then she didn't win, and then we've gone through what we've had to go through the last 4 years, it's just made it very difficult, in my opinion. But that was the 2016 election. But after seeing that, I remember very clearly, like, I already knew I wanted to participate in voting. I have very strong opinions about why, particularly black people, and just in general people of color should vote, because of our history of voter suppression that goes on, not even in like the civil rights of the 1960s, but even goes on now. You know, we've had issues even in the state of Georgia with voter suppression going on, and we kind of get swept under the rug, and it's like, this is why you need to vote, so we can make sure everyone can practice that right to vote. But anyway, so yeah, after the 2016 election, I was very, I knew I wanted to vote. I was like, alright, when the next presidential comes around and I'll be of age, I'm definitely going to vote, and we gotta do what we gotta do. So for this 2020 election, my kind of moving on, I already knew I wasn't going to vote for Trump. I'm very clear about that. And even when the Democratic nominees were going at it and arguing, like, I'll be very honest about it, I do not want Biden to be the Democratic candidate. I'm really tired of old white men having to, like, be our only options. I'm just going to say it as is, like during the second or the last presidential debate, like one of the questions was, people of color, and specifically in African American families, we have this conversation called the top, where we describe the fact that just because of our skin tone, we might be victims of police brutality and face discrimination. Obviously, you haven't gone through that experience, but what would you say to those families that have that conversation? And it's like, it sucks that this isn't something that's understood, because it's like, I believe people of color have we face different levels and different types of discrimination. Obviously, with this pandemic, sadly, Asian American communities have been hit very hard, and that's been getting swept under the rug. But I think it's very annoying that we have these two old white men that have to, be presented with a situation in a scenario that has nothing to do with them. They won't experience that, obviously, in their past or their present, because, they're old and married to white women and stuff like that. But, like, it was just very annoying. But anyway, like I said, I'm very open, and even a video that I'll post, or I'll share the link to, did not want Biden to be the candidate, but I definitely didn't want Trump. And for his 4 more years of this madness. I don't believe that he's competent, compassionate, empathetic to people who are not like him. I think it's ridiculous that even his running mate, Mike Pence, during the vice presidential debate, said that it is a disgrace to ask if systematic racism is a thing in the United States, and he doesn't believe systematic racism is a thing. And but we'll still say the tragedy of Breonna Taylor's death is unfortunate, but I still trust the decision of the grand jury, despite the evidence we have to prove that she should not have been killed. And it's like, it's very disheartening, to say the least. However, I got ready to vote. When I was in Miami, I was getting ready to see if I needed an absentee ballot. Then obviously I came back here, so I had to change mine. But we moved, so that whole process. But I was going to make sure I voted. So I definitely voted. This is the top half is the outfit I wore. So I have this hoodie. Again, hopefully you can see it. I'll try to put a picture, or I'll definitely put a photo of me voting as a thumbnail. It says, we're in this together, and I have this Black Lives Matter pen, just because it's like, I think it's funny, because voting is not hard. It's not a grand spectacle event, You can make it one. It can definitely be fun. Like, me and my mom, we went to go vote together. The line wasn't long, but really, we were in there for like 45 minutes at the most. I think it was 35 minutes, actually. And it's just so simple. You go in, you submit, you show your ID, you make sure you're registered to vote and things like that. You go to the polling machine, and you pick the candidate, and it's very simple, straightforward. You have the resources to look at amendments and laws being on the ballot. And it's simple, but it's funny, because it's like this simple act of contributing to your community and society and nation as a whole. There are people out there who don't want you to do that very simple task. When we talk about things like voter suppression and the things being at stake for elections, they were like, wow, this is such a serious event. Oh, it can be kind of nerve-wracking, but it's like, it's the politicians and the people that make it nerve-wracking. Obviously, there are people who are, trying to prevent you from voting, or certain people from voting. If there's a language barrier issue, you might get taken advantage of. If there's people who are trying to sway your vote or intimidate you at the polling places, and obviously that's when it becomes a difficult scenario and situation. But if you just go into the line, you wait your turn, fill out your sheet, go to the polling machines, pick your selections, and you walk right out. You get a sticker when you walk right out. So, moving on though. It's kind of but some of these videos are serious, so it's fine. I strongly believe that Donald Trump has to get out of office, and I pray he gets out of office. And I hope, for the safety of Americans affected by this pandemic, affected by the mean things he says, affected by the white supremacy he doesn't shame when prompted to, I don't believe that America is the greatest country on earth, but I live here and I wanted to improve. And I feel like in order to improve, you have to acknowledge that there are problems. You know what I'm saying? So Trump has to leave office. Now, is Biden the perfect candidate? Of course not. I strongly believe that, we really should have gotten, or I wish we would have had a different Democratic nominee, but we don't. It's November 3rd. We're here, I'm not going to harp on, wishing there were other candidates. Do I like Kamala Harris as the vice president nominee? Not really. I really wish Biden would have selected Stacey Abrams. But, I'm not going to harp on it, because if these are the steps necessary and the people that have to take on Trump and get him out of office, then that's a step towards the right direction, and we can keep making continuous steps. In a more controversial note, I don't think people tend to acknowledge the seriousness of voting, and when we affiliate ourselves with certain candidates, or at least certain parties. Obviously we're always pushing for people to vote, exercise again that civic duty, but my opinion, I think we sometimes sugarcoat it, because obviously we are, at least companies, when you see Facebook and YouTube and Google and even Tinder or whatever, making advertisements of saying, hey, make sure you vote, which is totally great. And sometimes for me on a personal level, I'm like, dang, I really wish we could tell people who to vote for. And technically you can't, because that, what's that word again? It happened when the immigrants were coming in the turn of the 20th century, and they would register them vote, and then they would pay them to vote for a political candidate. That whole word, that was a history lesson, but basically, obviously I can't tell you who to vote for, but I will say that I'm not going to ignore the fact that when you vote for particular politicians, I won't say parties, but politicians who affiliate themselves and act in certain ways, you are associating yourself with the way they act. There's no sweeping under the rug. You can't disassociate yourself, in my opinion, from the racist comments that Trump is currently making and has made in the past. Like I said, Biden's not a perfect candidate. Biden has done inappropriate things and very brutal things that contributed to negative things that have been a burden on the communities of color and other things going on in the United States. I'm not delusional. I'm not delusional about any other Democratic politician that exists out in the world. But I do have an issue when, again, Mike Pence doesn't believe systematic racism exists, when Donald Trump claims that he is the least racist person in a room during a presidential debate, when, Senator Perdue in Georgia acts like he doesn't know how to pronounce Kamala Harris's name properly and things like that, when we are locking people trying to come into this nation in cages and separating families and forcefully taking away women's rights to reproduce and taking away their organs just because they come from a different country. I have a problem with that. You are associating with yourself with that. This is the 21st century. You can read neutral facts, which again, where did that come from 4 years ago? Facts were facts. As far as I was concerned, the sky is blue. That's how that works. I am a woman of color. Very simple. I don't like these alternative facts or Republican or Democratic facts. It's just is or it isn't. But anyway, from a more personal perspective and controversial, I guess, you can't separate the politician that you're voting for. You can't nitpick. Granted, like I said, has Biden said negative things? Yes, and I admit to that, because I have a conscience and I know how to read and I know what's up in the world. But I also know the things that Trump has said, does say, will say, continues to say right now as a leader of the country right now. But, and I think that's just the thing that sucks about voting sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, I don't have strong party affiliations, but I guess I lean a certain way just because of the people who affiliate themselves in another way, especially in Georgia, Like, I don't have anything against the basic policies of what it means to be a Republican, but I have an issue with the subtleties and comments and beliefs of Republican politicians who want to be in power, and that's why I will not vote for them, and that's kind of my process into this. But I just wanted to say it's such an honor to be a first-time voter, to be a voter who is a woman, who is a part of the LGBT community, who is of color, who's a young person, you know, getting my education and trying to contribute to my country and my society, you know. It's not long ago that I would not have been able to do this. You know, we like to think we live in a post-racial society, and obviously we don't, but we also tend to forget that there definitely are living members who remember being discriminated against, who could not vote, who had to fight for the right to vote. Those members are my family, you know. I like to thank God that my father was able to get his citizenship this year and was able to vote this year along with me, and that me and him got that experience of being first-time voters, you know, to make a difference, hopefully. It's kind of sentimental, but it's true, you know. It's emotional because, like I said it earlier, it's a simple process, but such a simple process gets suppressed and people want to take that right away from you. So I just want to say that if you are voting today, please be safe. Please bring chairs, bring water, bring a snack, bring patience. I hope you stay safe. Check your wait times. I know in the county I'm in, they have the waiting times in their website. Stay safe again, because I know there's a lot of tension right now about how certain people will react. The election or the results will not be determined by midnight tonight. I already know that we have a lot of ballots to count, and we need to make sure every single ballot gets counted, because if you were able to submit a ballot, then your ballot has a right to get counted. I do hope, I'm not going to say, well, whoever wins, no, I hope Biden wins. I hope we are able to recover as a country from the hate, from the misguidedness, from just lies being told, and I hope that we will be able to move on and improve and go forward being a country that accepts different people who may not look like you, who gives rights to people. And yeah, very deep, personal video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I like talking to you guys today. I really do. Drop a comment. How are you feeling right now? Are you doing okay with this election? I hope you share this video. Please also check out the Instagram where I got this hoodie from. Check out the video that I was able to participate in earlier this summer that was released about a month ago. And I hope you guys stay safe and get some rest. And bye!